To the Jameson Files. I'm your host, Carrie Weber, and we are here in the Jameson offices. One of my favorite ways to do a Jameson Files episode in person with my dear friend, Tia Hunter. So thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love it when my dental friends come to town. So for those of you that may not know Tia, I don't know how you don't know Tia, but Tia is an incredible speaker, educator, trainer in the dental industry, and focuses primarily in infection control. Also has a huge heart for dental assistants in our profession, and does a great deal of work in dental practices across the country, helping to make sure that they're compliant and dotting all their I's and crossing all their T's.
I work with a lot of your clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Through your consultant. So
yes. What we've always appreciated with the work that Tia does in infection control and training in OSHA and HIPAA and all of those areas for practice is how focused you are for the particular practices that you work in.
Yeah.
The in-depth work you do to assess their needs and help make sure that they're elevated to the level of compliance that they need to be. Because of that, I've asked you to be a guest because I think it's important that we all get a little bit of a refresher on infection control. Yeah. Because you not only are lecturing across the country at conferences on this topic, but also you're going into practices, you're working with dental practices individually on this day in and day out. So I have to assume that you are seeing some things that are a bit on repeat of areas of need for improvement that you see on a regular basis. So I'm curious if you would mind sharing two or three of the things that you are seeing fairly regularly in practices that we need to be aware of in terms of being more intentional on when it comes to infection control for our practices.
I think we get complacent. What is our main focus of the day? It is getting that patient back, getting that, taking care of that patient, getting the room turned over and going. And so I think that we just get complacent. We know what we have to do, but it's, how it's the pile that you don't want to do. You have a pile that you want to do and for some people that's laundry. So the laundry piles up and they don't get to it because it's not their favorite thing. And I think that's what happens with us, with OSHA, with HIPAA, with infection control. It's we kind of go, oh, I'll do that later. And then 6 months goes by. And so it's a lot of it, Carrie, is documentation. And I'll be talking about that tonight in my presentation. We're not documenting enough. And I think the first thing, if you talk to any dental professional and you say documentation, what do they think? Chart notes. Right. But OSHA, HIPAA, infection control require, and maintenance, which I'm going to be talking about tonight here locally, there's documentation we have to keep for that. So I think the number one thing that we do wrong is documentation. We're not doing enough of it, if any of it. For instance, one huge red flag, and I see this with more offices than not, so more than 50%, is they're not being Hep B compliant with their vaccinations. So all clinical personnel have to have that Hep B within 10 days of employment. And I go in and I say, okay. And they're like, oh, we don't have that. And somebody's been with the practice for years and they're like, we don't have that. Make that part of your onboarding process when you hire so that, you get that taken care of.
Yeah. When practices are calling you to come in, they're probably doing it like, okay, let's check this box.
Right.
And those are probably things that weren't even on the radar from the beginning. Do they ever call and say, hey, can you come help me with my documentation and making sure that...
Never.
So you get the joy of breaking the news to them.
Right.
Yeah.
And how many times I go to offices, practices, and I'll say, where's your OSHA book? Where's your HIPAA book? And they will go get it off the shelf. And it's on the top shelf always. Yes. And it usually has an inch of dust on it. And most of the time it has cellophane still on it.
Yeah.
Because they're under this false sense of security that I'm going to buy this OSHA manual. And so now we're compliant. And you're not compliant just by buying the manual. There are things in there that need to be filled out. They have to be specific to your office. And so that's another big one is get that manual out, get it down, fill it out, look at it. I help people do this. That's another thing I do for people. Documentation, right? And so people, they just aren't doing enough of it. Three things that the board or OSHA is going to ask for, or even the health department, because your health department, just like they can shut down a restaurant, they can shut your practice down. Now, I would have to think things would be pretty bad, but they still can come in. Spore tests for the last 3 years. And it's not just, here's my spore test last 3 years. It's like, what, you have a failure 18 months ago. What did you do with that failure? Mm-hmm. Did you have the autoclave, serviced? Did you take it out of service? Did you just run another strip? Like, what did you do with it? Oh, I see that you do test strips on Monday, but this particular week you didn't do until Wednesday. Why was that? You have to explain why that is. So I wrote a book for just spore testing documentation because they're not doing enough of it. Oh, this week you didn't have any spore tests at all. Well, that's because we were closed down a week. That's when they took vacation. But you're not going to remember that, right? Mm-hmm. When you've got OSHA looking at your book and asking you why, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't even know why we didn't do it that week. And then it's going to dawn on you when you look at the schedule. Oh, that's right. We were on vacation that week. But those things need to be documented.
Wow.
So that that tells a story. If we put a new autoclave into service or loan our autoclave into the service, or take ours out of service, that has to be documented. We have to write down the notes for that. And people don't do that enough.
Wow.
So.
That feels, something that I teach a lot on the leadership side, on the systems and practice management side is what are we doing intentionally?
Right.
And, what are we just letting happen on a whim or accidentally, or even as an afterthought? And this feels like that fits very much into that thought process because I have to imagine, not you guys that are listening, of course, but I have to imagine that there are practices out there that they think, I'll get to that eventually, or it's never front of mind.
Right.
They get busy, they get whatever the things, they've got, as you said, they have the manual, they did a training once, and so they feel like they're good.
Yes.
They've checked the box, but obviously that's not the case.
No. And consistency is a key because they want you to take spore test on Monday of every week or Tuesday of every week. They don't want you to do it Monday of this week and Wednesday of next week and then Thursday the next week and then back to Monday the next week. And also your trainings. You're required to have annual training for OSHA and HIPAA once a year. Well, this is August, almost September, so they want you to have it at the same time every year. If you have it, August of this year, and then you don't have it till December of next year, and then you skip the whole next year and then have it in February of the next year, that's consistency isn't there. They want to see consistency. Also training all of your employees within 10 days of employment on OSHA and on HIPAA. Wow. Get everybody trained within 10 days. Then you have to document this. So there's a lot to it. So the biggest chunk, I say, is that documentation. But then when we start talking about that, then it filters down to, what do you mean we have to do this? What do you mean we have to do that? And then we kind of come to the, kind of create a list, if you will, of then what needs to be done and what we're not doing that we didn't even know we were supposed to do.
Right. How do you help practices get in a rhythm with all of that without it feeling so overwhelming?
Super simple, easier than you think. And SOPs are the way to go. Yes. And so I help your practice create these SOPs so that you know exactly what to do and when to do it. I want you to have an infection control coordinator. I want you to have an OSHA person. I want you to have a HIPAA person and it can't be the same person. That person will be in the corner sucking their thumb in the fetal position. Yeah. We have too much to do in a day to give everybody one person. And so many times the office manager's like, it's me, I do that. Like, honey, you don't have enough time to do that. I'm telling you. So it's dividing that up and making people responsible for, finding that and the coming together. As you know, I've created my calendar, my compliance calendar, and that's huge help because it tells you when you need to, clean your model trimmer, when you need to, replace your O-rings, when you need to do your waterline testing and your waterline shocking. So there's a whole bunch of it, and the calendar kind of walks you through that. This year, the calendar is going digital. We're so happy.
Good. That's awesome.
There will still be printed because I'm a dental assistant. We don't stand at a computer all day. So you can print out August, you can print out September, put it up on the, in the cabinetry in the sterilization room of your lab, just as that daily reminder of what you need to get done.
Getting intentional and compliant in that documentation piece, being consistent in documentation, making sure you're staying compliant in your vaccinations.
Yes.
But also, having that kind of something like your calendar that's helping you to keep on track so it doesn't snowball on you.
Absolutely.
You don't get blindsided by something you forgot or let fall through the cracks. That's a huge piece. And sharing the load,
Yes.
delegating that to various champions
Yes.
within the team so that it doesn't start to just press down on one person.
Right. If you don't have time to do it in your day anyway, then saying, okay, Mary, this is yours.
Right.
Where's that time going to come from?
Yeah.
It isn't going to happen. So making sure that we carve out and give everybody enough time to complete those tasks, I think is huge.
When you have a new employee, part of their onboarding process has to be training, thorough training on the OSHA and HIPAA. Do you think that's happening?
No. It's not.
I don't think so either.
No, it's not. And it's one of those easy things. Again, you just make it part of your onboarding process. I have videos that I have that people just log in and watch and give you the documentation for that. So that, as long as you are creating that. Now let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Taking just a generic online OSHA test or HIPAA, you watch a 30-minute video and then take a little test. Those really aren't compliant.
Okay.
And OSHA and HIPAA would rip you both apart for those because it needs to be specific to your particular practice.
Okay.
So you need to be able to ask that person, that trainer, questions. Can you clarify this? What did you mean by this? You mentioned that document. Can I have this? When you get one of mine, you can email me back and forth. I'll jump on a call with you. We can talk about these things. So it's important that you have that so that you can get your questions answered. So you're just not looking at a screen, taking a 5-question test, and then, I passed, we're certified now. They would literally rip you apart if they came in and it wasn't specific to your practice. You weren't able to ask questions and things like that. You can watch a video. There's nothing wrong with the video, but you have to have that support.
Yeah, you have to have the access to a guide.
Right, to get your questions answered because that's so important.
Wow, I think that's interesting. And it's funny, being in coaching and marketing, and parallel, not the same. Obviously, yours is to protect and keep a practice compliant. Yeah. Ours is for practice growth. But we say almost the same thing about websites in marketing. If you think that just going with a generic canned website that I could find in 60 other practices in your area, and you think that's going to be successful for you, please don't be surprised when you are in the abyss of Google search because nobody's going to find you because Google's, ousted your website as being plagiarized, a duplicate, and nothing customized to you specifically. And so it's just interesting to me that it's the same with onboarding and OSHA and HIPAA training. Like it has to be customized. You have to have that human element of the training available to you for it to even really count.
You've invested so much in the practice. The doctor, the owner has invested so much in that practice. You're a fool to not invest in a website, to not invest in the proper SOPs, to not invest in your OSHA, HIPAA, and your team. You have to do that. If you're spending that money, you're all in, well, then finish it off. Don't get complacent and stop because you know what? Well, we don't really need that right now. I don't really need that right now. And a lot of doctors think, we don't have to do that every year. That's silly. We do it every year. People get caught every day. And the last thing you want is for people to get caught. And then now it's going to cost you a whole lot more money.
Yes.
And
if you had invested in the training.
And you're going to be on 5 o'clock news. Not in a good way.
It's going to be that place.
Yes.
And it's interesting. I think you think this too. If you were to look at the top tier practices, you're looking at practices that have gone not only from good to great, but great to better. It is likely, if I were to look behind the curtain of those practices likely have a thought out, intentional training and onboarding process that they take employees through to make sure all of those elements of bringing on a new employee are done right, done well, and done in a timely fashion. I was just with a practice like this that has people responsible for onboarding appropriately new employees, not only into the systems of the practice, but making sure they're as compliant as they need to be in the practice, as you're saying, but also that they're brought into the culture of what right looks like here. And it's just interesting to me how, and I think it's a nature of the desperation of the hiring market right now.
Absolutely.
Also, so I mean, you have to give some understanding to why this is happening more and more, but people are skipping very important steps. And now we're not even talking about it from growth and success strategies. We're talking about it from protection strategies.
Right. Protecting your practice, protecting your patients, protecting your team.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you were to give some advice for the people that might be listening that we just scared the living daylights what do they need to do? Like, what's a first step so they don't feel overwhelmed and drowning in all of the things they need to address? What would be a step that they need to take?
Appoint somebody to be your OSHA person, your infection control person. I have a checklist, Carrie. I'd be happy to send those out to your team. I'm going to send it out to the team that's coming tonight to really get down with, what all has to be done. They're very extensive checklists. I'd be happy to send them to you. You could forward them on to all your people.
Well, how can people reach you? Let's say that first.
Tia, T-I-J-A, tiacoaches@gmail.com.
And so Tia has this amazing calendar and obviously very generous with other resources for any of you that are looking to try and elevate your compliance in your infection control efforts. It is so, so important that you all get the right resources, get the right training, get what your practice needs to be compliant. Everybody thinks it's great to coast along until you're the one.
Yeah. And there's so much misinformation.
Yeah.
There's so much misinformation out there. And I still go to, someone on Facebook and they'll post something like, what do we do? Oh my gosh, we had somebody with HIV, or I have somebody with HIV coming in. What do I do? And the answer is nothing. Truly nothing. You don't do anything more than what you're already doing if you're doing it right. So if you're worried about what you're doing, then you're probably not doing it right in the first place.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right with the hiring. We have hired people. We need a body. We need a pulse.
Yeah.
And so we're getting people in and, we don't have time to train them. And so there's nothing wrong with being trained on the job. Absolutely nothing wrong. But you're only as good as the person who trained you. So if the person who trained you is full of misinformation, and I'm sure this goes in your world too,
yes,
then you have no idea what you're doing, but you think you do, which is very dangerous.
Yes.
And so it's finding your own resources and asking questions. And I will be a resource for anybody that needs me, just to help make sure that we're getting the correct information to people.
She's a resource that you need to have in your back pocket. There is no doubt. But you're also an amazing speaker that's out in the world. And we're entering into fall of 2025 as we're recording this episode right now. So for those of you that are active followers of the Jameson Files community that may be looking for where you're going to be coming up next, where can we find you?
RockstarDentalAssistant.com. That's me.
RockstarDentalAssistant.com. And then you have a big meeting coming up in November.
Yeah.
That is awesome for all team members, including the clinical assistants, correct? Tell me a little bit about that.
It's called CollaboraCon, and it is myself and Lois Banta. I'm sure a few of people heard about her. Emmy Sanders and Dana Watson. So we represent the assistant, the hygienist, the front office team, and the doctor. And it's a great 2-day event, November 14th and 15th in beautiful downtown Nashville, Tennessee. And it is a conference like nothing else. And I know you hear that all the time, but Carrie, how people go to conferences, like I'm an assistant. So I go to a conference and I hear all this amazing stuff and I go back on Monday morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe we learned this. I've got all my notes. And like the person sitting next to you is like, whatever, right?
Yes.
Because they don't have the hype. They didn't go to what you went to, but they went to something else and they're excited to bring that to the table. What CollaboraCon does is we have everybody together learning the same thing at the same time and getting that vibe all together at one time. And so you're all learning, you're all growing together. And I, as an assistant, learn your troubles because, you're the front desk. How could I help your position be better? How can you help the hygienist and the doctor? And it's just all about finding answers together because that's how you work. You work together. And we always say it takes a team, right? It takes a team to pull this off. So by coming to Collaboracon, we have the workshops, we have the breakouts together.
Yeah.
And even as one of the founding partners, we worked so hard on this last year to put this together. And then, you go there and then you see them have their aha moments.
Yeah.
And even though I helped plan this, watching them go through the, oh my gosh, and the aha moments and the wows, and you're like, oh, they get it, and they're getting it together. So that's the great thing about it, is that teams are learning all together. So Collaboracon, Collaboracon event, or collaboracon.com if they want to go check out the website. We're enrolling people now. So we have a great marketing team too. Jameson was our marketing. And so we have a great website, and go check out collaboracon.com. And I hope to see you in Nashville.
I love it. So many exciting things on the horizon.
Yes.
Go find Tia online for all these amazing resources that she brings to the table for your practice and in your compliance efforts. Go check out Collaboracon for an all-team event that can really help move you in the right direction. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being a
This has
guest
been
on
fun.
episode. And thanks to all of you for joining in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please spread the word about the Jameson Files. We'd love to have more followers just like you. Until next time, be well, and thanks for joining us.